scouting out, so they know full well on the side of Liquid who's up here.
Yeah, they're going to try and go for the shards. They do manage to catch Chesty in it. Follow up with a magic missile. They're trying to bring down Chesty as quick as possible. Beautiful Impale's going to stall things out. But the imprisonment only lasts for so long. Chesty's still trying to get away, but Mickey is hot on his tail with the quills. He's going to need 2 or 3 more of them. Maybe with Taiga leading up that damage. See if this last quill is close enough. It's barely outside of the range, but the Ice Shards is going to be there. Chesty is nowhere really to run to. He popped a salve to try and stay alive, but in the end, Koifa is the one to claim that first blood, while Mickey is sacrificed in turn. As a result, though, it looks like, and I'm going to try really hard not to call them chicken fighters, High Coast will manage to get 2 bounty runes all the same.
Yeah, I didn't even have time to talk about the game or the draft. Just start off with a 5v5 real quick, just see how everyone's doing, see if everyone's awake today. I guess it's a good time for them, but I just think the tempo from Liquid's draft will be too fast this game. Their wave clear is way better than the side of chicken fighters. When they picked the Beastmaster, the heroes they saw so far were OD, who really has limited wave clear than the Meteor Hammer, Nyx with literally 0, and Io starts to build up wave clear later, but doesn't have it for a while. And then they picked Undying, so I'm definitely very concerned for the Radiant draft in regards to Bristle running down lanes, Beastmaster running down lanes, Vengeful Spirit helping people do more damage as they run down lanes. He does go for the straight Ags, by the way. Koifa just goes treads Ags, maybe some Wraith Bands in between.
Okay. That's kind of interesting because you are so reliant. I'm not sure if you've seen this one before, BSJ, but Venge Broken does not drop that illusion.
That
and they do have a break
mechanic
on the
based on her passive, right?
Yeah, it's based off of your passive. So if you get Nyx broken and killed off, you won't drop an illusion.
That's interesting. They would have to burst him pretty quick. What's the break from Vendetta? I think it's like 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's not super long.
I guess that's kind of reasonable. They have decent burst damage with the OD and the Monkey King.
Of course, the other thing that is a little bit unique about this game is we aren't going to be running a core IO. Not totally unheard of, obviously, but it is unheard of for Charlie to be playing it in a professional match. This will be his first pro game of IO. He has played it a lot in his pubs, apparently, as his account that he's currently on, that he hasn't used for pubs since 2018. He has played 80 games of IO just on that account. So you add in another 2.5 years of activity, and I'm pretty sure he's gotten some IO games in there. So
yeah, IO is definitely one of those heroes you got to specialize in. Pretty much all the stuff you use to like learn to how to play IO applies to virtually no other heroes in the game. So it's not necessarily like mechanically difficult. It's more just like hitting the power spikes, utilizing your ultimate during fights or just like skirmishes in general. Very unique hero.
When have you played it, Brian? Have you tried it out since you are kind of a carry
I tried
player?
it a couple times, but not this patch. The timings, ever since they moved the spirit damage to 20, were really wonky for me. And my excuse for not trying this hero more is I pretty much acknowledged I would have to play it 100 times or 0. You know, it's not a hero you can just pick 5 to 10 times and be like, yeah. I feel like I'm okay.
And if you invest 100 times, but then Ice Frog nerfs it, so it's no longer viable as a core anymore, then you kind of just wasted that time, right?
You know, as long as we're learning, we're never wasting our time. But yeah, pretty much.
Well, Supreme, he's having an okay time in CS in the mid lane, but he is getting beat to hell by Koifa's Vengeful Spirit, who continues to pressure him with all this physical damage that you got.
I like this adjustment Koifa's made. Usually he likes to go for the max wave of terror, as most Venges do in the mid lane, but since he's against Monkey King, who he can't really harass, he's chosen to max out the stun because that's the only way he can kind of do it. Oh, as we see a first blood bottom. I didn't expect that, but the Tusk plus the boar, level 3 boar, that thing's powerful.
Don't forget our very early team fight at the start of the game. So not quite first blood, but it was the first blood of the laning phase anyway. And we finally did see somebody go down. Looks like saw Undying just get a little bit too far ahead of himself in that lane, which is something that I think is very easy to do with the Undying versus Tusk matchup. Now we're going to watch Supreme maybe get away. High ground hit. Evasion? No, the blast comes through. It was a good dodge, but ultimately Insania had a plan B if that hit didn't land.
I also wonder if Koikfa was going for this max stun because he has a Keeper of the Light on his team. In the mid game, that damage output from pretty much a double stun is going to be pretty nuts. The 360 damage when maxed out on the Magic Missile. You saw there that usually Venge can't afford to spam this ability, and she doesn't like to go for bottle. So that gank was made successful by Insania giving him mana.
Insania just trying to threaten the pull here, so Era is forced to mess around with that, rather than going for our carry. And Mickey is going to try and secure the bounty runes. Era does have a stun, though, so should be able to get it. No big deal. He's going to be chased down, though. They're going to do a lot of damage to him. Charlie also going to be forced to back up as his Undying goes down. Era does indeed fall up at that top lane. No real chance for him to get away. He gives up his life, basically, to get that bounty rune.
Yeah, Tusk is one of the few strength heroes that represents enough damage to bring down Undying in the laning phase. That's why I was a bit surprised they chose it. Most of the time when you see Undying against two strength heroes, you're like, you know, licking your chops. But that tag team, usually Undying's meant to take all of the damage away from these strength heroes. But all they did was shard him in and hit him, and he just died.
Yeah, tag team. Incredible ability, especially with somebody like Beastmaster, who's got his boar and his aura to make sure everybody's attacking faster. Just full-on synergy there. But, I mean, Charlie is still getting farm out of this lane, and I think that's ultimately... You're kind of okay with that, right? I mean, it's a tough lane. It's a Beastmaster lane.
Yeah, the problem is it's all about who hits the Necrobook or the Helmdom first. Because I think if Beastmaster gets the Necrobook first, then he's going to get absolutely booted out of this lane. And they don't really have somebody that can tank the roar and kind of occupy the lane to defend the tower. The timing here, the lining up of whether or not he's going to hit that Helmdom first is concerning to me, despite the fact he is having good CS.
Straight up Vanguard for Mickey.
Wow, that's fast.
That is very fast. I thought maybe he would try and go Soul Ring just to like keep up the sustain of mana in this lane. But I guess, never mind. I forgot he's got a coddle. Ignore what I just said.
Man, he's got to keep her alive. That's all you could ever dream of needing.
What? You're saying you don't need a coddle and a Crystal Maiden?
No, that helped even more earlier. That's the break your W key combo. This is more of the might have to put some vacation on that key or something. You know what I'm saying?
Era does know what you're saying, and he also knows what Insania is up to here, but he can't fully stop it. Only stops one of the stacks there, so ultimately there is going to be a lot of farm here for Mickey to be able to take over as soon as he's kind of bored and done with playing this out, especially since he's got the Wave of Terror to make it that much easier to clear through some stacks.
Yeah, I think what makes Coddle so nice is that he is literally never in lane except to quickly walk over and give some Chakra Magic to Mickey. Most supports, to be impactful, have to consistently be in lane, which means they're taking experience, which means that they're not doing anything else on the map. Coddle is doing his job by taking no experience and then also stacking. So it's like quadruple the efficiency because you're getting it out of lane and then you're also getting it out of jungle.
Oh, turn around, Primal Roar. Boxy immediately TPing out. Very smart. A snowball over the side is only going to delay his death, as Taiga is certainly going to be gone here. But still, they traded 1 for 1, and they forced rotations. I'm sure Liquid is still going to be happy with that exchange.
Yeah, that was absolutely sick. Roaring the Monkey King to make sure he couldn't get stunned before the TP. The Nyx stun was just a tad too late there. As Koikfa gets the Arcane Rune, looks to be a bit trouble, but Era's at least going to pay with his life.
Yeah, Supreme turning his attention onto Boxy instead of going for Koikfa here. Maybe just because he knows Koikfa is pretty tanky to physical damage thanks to all that extra armor, and Supreme is getting kited around. Jesus. Oh, that Magic Missile just did so much damage, and now Zippe, he's going to die too.
Rune.
This boar, it's relentless, and it's not letting him go anywhere. Koikfa with the triple kill. Oh, they're going to get a quad?
Venge is weak early. She is not weak later. And he is now at a triple kill, maybe an ultra kill? No.
Yeah, Charlie does manage to get away because the Nyx is already back up.
Yeah, that Arcane Rune value was insane. 6.3 second cooldown on his stun throughout the duration. I think he threw out like 4 stuns in that one little skirmish.
Yeah, that was a lot. Well, we got our Helmet Dominator here. Chessie also has his Meteor and the Hammer in the top lane, as we've seen him put to good use twice now on some heroes. That said, he won't really be able to pressure the lane too much if there's a Bristleback or a Coddle pushing out the lane against him. He's never going to get the opportunity to put that Meteor Hammer to work on the tower like Boxy is able to do here with the Necronomicon.
Yeah, if you look at both drafts, like not only is the Beastmaster going to represent an immense amount of tower pressure bottom, but Bristle's more of like a wall top. And even if they eventually kill him, they'll have to invest so much and probably tank so many quills that they're not going to be able to translate it into an objective. And then Venge, since she's off to such a good start, there's also going to be a lot of tower pressure going on in the mid lane as Quakefa is going to continuously shove that in. So I'm kind of expecting to have to see the Radiant team, so I make sure I don't say their name wrong, have to dedicate more resources to each individual lane that they want to defend or push. And eventually, I think Team Liquid's just going to capture all of their tier 1s, if not, like, now, next, like, 5 minutes, maybe even sooner.
Quakefa, you could see where he's putting his priorities into. Could have gotten a point booster, could have gotten the Blade of Alacrity. Instead, he chose the Ogre Club. So really just focused on having that higher HP to make use of the high armor you naturally have. So he's just playing up survivable and will be able to get off multiple magic missiles in team fights. And is indeed rushing towards that Aghanim Scepter like you talked about.
Yeah, Venge is one of the few heroes that he actually took time to talk to me about, which was like, it's really cool to hear his perspective on like the timings of the hero. He's pretty much like, yeah, you get nags and then you just run around, and if you die, you run around some more because your illusion moves 30% faster.
Nice, picking him up halfway through the impale means Insania took no damage from that spell, and well, nice and easy. Big rotation that catches 2 heroes and is going to force Supreme back 3-11 with a 4,000 net worth lead already for Liquid. They're certainly in the driver's seat of this game.
Yeah, they're making such good use of the Keeper of the Light. If you look at their draft, it's just genius because as we see another Roar mid, Undying, I guess he's willing to tank it. The summons alone should probably just finish him off, yeah.
Snowball picking him up, putting him right into an impale underneath the tier 1 tower with the OD ultimate there, as well as the boundless hit here from Supreme. Now Supreme's going to be focused down pretty quickly. He's healed up by Charlie. Maybe he can still turn this around. They do have the Vendetta hit onto the Bristleback, but ultimately does do enough to be able to bring down the Monkey King. There goes a lot of your damage, and there goes High Coast backing it up, backing away, not wanting to continue that team fight. Not a bad exchange for High Coast. A 2 for 2 when they're down like this, I don't think is the most disagreeable thing.
Yeah, I just think these fights are going to get harder and harder. The damage and just raw sustain that comes out from Liquid's lineup is just so efficient. Like, the Necro Books are so efficient because the Beastmaster aura. Bristleback at this stage in the game is at his most powerful. He's got this farming steroid and the Keeper of the Light, as you see him farming another couple stacks on his triangle here. Like, they're just going to accelerate so quickly, and I think it's going to be spelling the end of the Radiant team here once the Vengeful Spirit Ags comes out.
Yeah, we noticed this. So we watched the Coddle win in that first game of the lower division game. And then we saw Coddle again in game 3. And the one thing that I noticed was that while Coddle individually was doing a lot of stacking, as a team, I think it was No Bounty Hunter, was actually doing an equal amount of stacking. Every single time we went to this stat, I'd count it up and they'd be like, oh, they're only like 1 stack behind. They're actually fine. Very different situation here for High Coast, who's stacked like once compared to Liquid having over 10, actually closer to 15 now at this point.
Yeah, I understand it when I see the drafts that Liquid will need less resources to get stuff done, which means they have more free time to do stuff like stacking. But I don't exactly get how these tier 1 teams construct these drafts. It's like easy to recognize after it's been made. It's like once you see the picture, oh, that makes sense. But the formation of it itself, it's so crazy. Like at this point, I'm like, yeah, wow, their draft is cool. You know, like how did they get ahead so far in this specific category of the game? But yeah, this stacking thing seems like it's gonna be like, if it's in Division 1 and Division 2, must just be a European thing that will probably bleed all the way to other regions, if not it hasn't already.
Well, I think the one very important thing is having independent cores, right? Like, we had
Absolutely.
the Ember Spirit who was able to do kind of okay in his safe lane in that first game of the day. Here we've got a Bristleback who is obviously very independent there. Like, as soon as you kind of have to have that. You can't have a hero that's pressured too easily, right?
Yeah, I think when you say independent, I like to think of self-sustaining in this stage of the game.
Okay,
because
yeah, that's a good word for it.
Usually, Bristle is not self-sustaining, but because he has a Keeper of the Light, he turns into that.
Sure.
So I think what Liquid does a really good job of is specifically recognizing these duos of heroes that work so well in tandem.
One magic missile. You could throw another one pretty soon here, but he's actually getting imprisoned. Zibe is going to be able to get over to the side. The blast is going to bring him down, but he's like, hey, I'm good with that. Koifa is going to die, and High Coast. No. I was going to say,
if they can turn that into something, I was going to say it's pretty good, but...
And then they say, Mika, they see the wall that you were talking about, and they're like, nope, can't get over that.
Look at his farm. He's got Vanguard, Hood, and a full halberd at 15 minutes in. He's 2,000 gold ahead of second place in the net worth, and that's quite...
Oh, perfect. There's not much of an animation to Snowball. Really well done by Taiga. He's going to maybe get himself denied. Oh! Throws down the Sanity's Eclipse, but it's too late.
Oh, come on, Liquid. You could just tip Taiga. I feel like that was...
No.
That's glass half empty mentality coming out from Liquid here.
I think that's a winning mentality from Liquid. Do some psychological damage. They can praise Taiga all they want in their mic, you know? They can tell him over Discord. They can be like, hey, great job, buddy. But they can't do that to Chessie. They can't taunt him. Except for through tips.
That was a pretty sick play from Taiga, though.
And Taiga's very chill about it. That's just another day in the office.
He's ranked 2 EU, man, as a 4-position player. That's nuts.
All right, well, Aghanim Scepter is coming in the next few minutes for Charlie, unless something goes horrifically wrong. And one of those things going wrong is their triangle being taken over by this Bristleback. They are going to make the rotation, though, down to bottom lane, thanks to the relocate and Era setting up. This is kind of what the synergy of their draft had, which with a core IO mixed with the Nyx Assassin support, they could actually get really powerful global ganks off.
I'm just wondering what the timing is for this IO. It looks like he's chewing up the Ags, so I know that the Ags is really nice, but until level 20, it doesn't really dish out real damage. My only concern for him is that for the Ags to take effect, you have to be in the fight long enough because it's spawning a new spirit every second, I believe. And there's just so much burst. You have the Beastmaster Roar, you have the Tusk Tag Team, the Venge minus armor. Bristle's chunking people at this stage in the game. With the Warpath stacks up, he'll hit for over 300. It's just a bit concerning.
Yeah, we don't have, like... We have the save from the OD, and then we have the heal that comes in from the Undying, but we don't quite have the, like, super save, like an Oracle that comes in and ensures you're absolutely going to be staying alive for 10 seconds in a team fight. What do you think about this this IO plus OD as a core combo? Because whenever I see core IO, I always like to see a mid that works really well with it. In the past, it's been something like Death Prophet, where just like pure sustain is super value on the Death Prophet. Here, we actually have the change of your overcharge, giving you attack speed, which works really well with the OD on top of the spell amplification.
So it's one of those theory crafting. It's kind of like Omni OD, where it works really nicely when you're playing together in team fights. But when it comes to playing the map, my issue is that I look at the lineup for Liquid. To kill the Bristle, they would need to bring 3 or 4 heroes. To kill the Beastmaster, they'd probably have to smoke because he has a Hawk. And then the other heroes are going to be playing together. On the other hand, if any of these heroes on the Radiant side try to split push or clear waves by themselves, they're always going to have to be scared. So they're not really going to get the fights that they want. So while IO-OD seems nice on paper, OD's got very limited wave clear with the Meteor Hammer. And then IO has to physically place himself on the creep wave in order to clear it. And just against the kill threat that Liquid has, that's going to naturally make his wave clear less impactful. So if they can get that fight, I like their odds. But that was kind of my concern going into the draft. And so far, you can see with the pace of the game that they're just getting out efficiency when fights are not going on.
So if we had something, say we replace this Undying with a wave clearing 5 position, Jakiro, Winter Wyvern, like something like that, do you think you would be more agreeable to this combo? It just leaves a big opening in the draft you kind of have to cover yourself.
Yeah, it's not just the Undying, right? It's also the Nyx. Like the combined duo that they have has literally no wave clear. Like Nyx, yeah, his Impale's okay, but compared to a lot of other fours, even ones like Shaker or Earth Spirit, who are also ganking types, very little wave clear on the Nyx. And it's like, you want to be able to jungle on IO most of the time. And so you see him here, he is jungling. And since he's jungling, the waves just aren't going to get pushed. And eventually, over the course of a couple minutes, the waves are all going to be on their side of the map. And even when they get crucial kills like they did on the Beastmaster as well as the Venge, it just results in them defending their lanes rather than actually advancing and taking towers.
Well, it looks like Charlie's found a few of his missing frames, so we're back in action here as we're at 17 minutes, so the Tier 2 neutral items are just now spawning. Some big item pickups. We just had the Desolator, and I'm going to try and do it off of memory here. The Bristleback has the Soul Shroud? Is that what it's called?
Eternal Shroud, my friend.
Eternal Shroud. I knew it was Shroud something. Eternal.
Yeah, it's just too good of an item on Bristle. That item was made for Bristle. Spell, lifesteal, magic resistance, and
giving yourself
gives you mana back
well.
whenever you take mana. Yeah, whenever you take damage, that item's just too perfect for him.
Yeah. Really
it's
is.
20% spell lifesteal on heroes. There used to never be an option to get this spell lifesteal this early. You usually had to wait for that level 25 talent timing, and that was always pretty late in the game. But now, if he's not broken by the Nyx, there's like this critical threshold where you get him to like 500 health, and then suddenly he just isn't taking damage anymore because he's just healing as much as he's taking every time you proc his passive.
Looks like he's going to be going AC next. What do you think about stacking some of that spell lifesteal with like the Bloodstone? Is that a viable build at all?
I've seen it sometimes. I think that'd be more of a mid or offlane Bristleback, but since he's the carry, it's his job to, like, he's getting buffed up by Venge and Beastmaster. It'd be kind of a meme if he went to that spell day, like, relied purely on the quills. The reason why the Eternal Shroud is nice, it's just such an efficient item for how survivable it makes you. But then, now that you're survivable, let's go kill some people.
Era trying to do everything he can to stop Liquid from rolling onto the high coast side of the map. Oh, better not summon a Hawk. Supreme, he's pumping his ultimate. He's going to let it out now. Goes straight for Boxy. See if they can chain stun him before the Primal Roar goes out, but they cannot. He gets a Force Staff out of the Wukong's command. Still gets off his Primal Roar. Does a nice job of retreating here. Koifa's going to be caught inside of this mess, though. He's going to turn and fight, though, because he still has his Aghanim Scepter to be able to rely on. He gets popped, gets brought down. They are going to be able to get a little bit more as the Dying Tombstone is just in a perfect spot there. Mickey is playing underneath it like he just doesn't give a damn, though. And it looks like he probably doesn't give a damn. As the last hit is still not there. Somebody, please, for the love of God, hit this Tombstone. They finally do, while Mickey is going to be stalled up by the Meteor Hammer with the imprisonment, while the Koifa Illusion is going to go for Supreme. Already brought him back to the doom of Taiga, who blocks him in with the shard as well. He's going to get an imprisonment save. His OD is doing a lot of damage. Boxy getting popped in the end there, but it looks like they're going to lose their Monkey King. If they lose their Monkey King, again, there goes a lot of their damage. They're just on full retreat now, as Chessie will do what he can to stall them from running back, but ultimately
he does respawn on the illusion.
He does, but he's going to be back to full health and full mana, so Koifa is covered by Mickey in that regard. Uh-oh, they're going to relocate in. Maybe they will take advantage of this. Insania is here, though. They do have a few more seconds. He can maybe recall some people in. Meteor Hammer lands on Koifa's head. They're going to try and pop him real quickly. He managed to get the Magic Missile stun. He's down. Taiga is now up, maybe recalled by Insania.
Is he really down?
Chessie trying to get away, but he's going to be swapped back. Again, this Illusion. They keep on killing the Vengeful Spirit at the start of these fights, but the Illusion perseveres and has a huge impact in making sure that High Coast do not get away.
Other than killing the Tombstone, because illusions do less damage to the tomb, that illusion is literally better than the actual hero. It moves at 30% bonus move speed, and otherwise it's the exact same. Hits for 100% damage, has all the spells. So Koifa, you see starting that fight by just walking up the hill, basically like a Wraith King saying, please kill me.
Yeah. especially with the way he's building it, right? If he had built some sort of like bonus damage that was outside of his agility, then he wouldn't be getting that damage, but he's just all stats. He's just rolling up with treads and an Aghanim Scepter. Now he's going to be building an S and Y. Mickey, broken here. Impaled into the Meteor Hammer stun. That's going to land. Do we have any follow-up? Nope. We're going to give up on that. Oh,
The fact that
Axes!
he's allowed to play alone like this is just like he's just getting away with murder in the top lane. Like you see how they're able to play 3 lanes. That's the power of the Liquid lineup, as now they can collapse on bottom with the Coddle recall.
Yep, Mickey. Really good blast there from Insania, pushing Zibe up onto the high ground. They know Chessie's still here, too. Chessie did not have a TP, and I think they spotted that. They're going to go for the Meteor. That's not going to go off in time, though. Trapped underneath his Tier 2 tower. That is why sometimes this Tier 2 tower is better off just give it up. It's such a hard tower to defend.
It's the problem is usually when the opponent team is pushing a tier 2 with 4 or 5 heroes like this, you're also pressuring other lanes. But because Mickey was able to play top for so long, Io's just now getting to the tier 2 and he's already forced to TP back, not even attempting to go for a trade. They're not missing out on any efficiency on the side of Liquid going for this push.
Swap immediately breaking the tether. Supreme's gonna get bursted down just like that. He's gone with no buyback. Tombstone is out on the side here. Mickey's going to deal with that. Force Staff gets him out of the Meteor Hammer stun just in case. Zibe very likely to die as the blast comes through from Insania to finish off the kill. They're going to buy back and try and take this 4 versus 5, but I'm not convinced they can deal with Mickey. And Koifa has not been shy about dying just to force a fight, since that is the power of the Aghanim Scepter. One lane of barracks.
I think people are learning the counter to Nyx is by simply having so much wave clear that they can't get the fights they want. Because once Nyx's team is allowed to group up and get pickoffs, it's really easy for that hero to burst down any single target and take a 5-on-4. But you're seeing here that like the Nyx is basically just a bounty hunter scouting out, looking at heroes in front of him, and he just can't kill them. And at that point, this hero isn't nearly as potent as we usually see when it's in a good game. And Liquid, really showing that with the last couple picks in this draft. Avenged Beastmaster, all about that 5-man.
They have an AC now on Mickey. Insania's going to die at the start of this fight, but once again, Supreme goes in. Maybe he can actually get off the Wukong's command. He's going to be okay. The rest of the Liquid did not come up into this triangle. Instead, they push forward to catch the OD, and they kill him, but it might cost some of their heroes their lives. Koifa is going to be dancing away here. Now that Wukong's command is gone, they have to relocate, then pull some heroes out. They're going to return back, though, to a team fight that's going to be very tough to take. The Tombstone's still around here, but again, the power of Mickey and Koifa just not really caring if anybody goes on them, because Koifa's got an extra life and Mickey's impossible to kill, just means that it's always High Coast that have to back away from these team fights.
He's also got the 20 quill stack talent on Mickey. His damage output's insane.
Swap again. Supreme underestimating the range that this level 3 swap gives you. And as we could see, Koifa is like, whatever. Die to a tier 3. I've got my illusion still here. Mission accomplished. We kill the core. We're going to take 2 lanes of barracks now. As Swap goes again, Chessie is able to get the imprisonment on himself before the stun lands, but he's going to come back, and I'm not sure if he can do anything. Oh, the impale, Meteor Hammer. That's going to be able to finish off Taiga, rather, but Mickey is a big, big problem. Fortunately, the imprisonment will allow them to reset the fight, but it won't stop Mickey from going for the objectives unless it does. Unless Liquid's like, we're just going to chill. That's okay. We'll back it up. No need to rush things.
Yeah, I think Nyx counter and Keeper of the Light's a myth. I think people think that Keeper of the Light is countered by Nyx because you can carapace the blast early. But the fact is, the most annoying thing with Nyx is when you try to go high ground or just these late game sieges, he just spams mana burn on these carries like Bristle. And when they run out of mana, they don't have anything that they can do. Well, Coddle just gives it right back. Yeah. So I think that's actually what makes Coddle probably the counter to Nyx, probably the best hero in the game against Nyx, surprisingly so at this stage. Like later on when you're going for that high ground siege.
Yeah, we're not watching Katos that are really, you know, doing heavy split pushing and too much, right? They show up, they defend a tower or something, but otherwise, you know, they're making better use of playing with their team, better use of recalling allies who those guys are doing the split pushing, not necessarily the Coddle.
This hero's concept is just busted, man. I think it's just so hard to play against. Whatever team I see has Keeper of the Light, it just looks like their game plan is way easier to execute. Even if they end up losing, it just seems on paper so efficient. It always feels so nice as the core to have basically free boots of travel and a free walking fountain as well in terms of the mana. So as long as the hero has natural health sustain, you're always on map. There's so much efficiency gained from never having to go back to base, never having to ferry yourself clarities, going straight for items that are just good for the hero. And you're seeing it here with Bristol. His net worth is off the freaking charts.
So much movement speed, slow. The swap's going to go out, pulling him even deeper onto the side of Liquid, who pretty much own any area outside of High Coast's actual base. Koifa backing away from the Tombstone. They're building up the imprisonment stacks here and stealing a bunch of that mana for the OD. All right, well, 60 Spirits hero damage. So with the Aghanim Scepter and now hitting that level 20, the Ayu certainly reached a big peak. Akaya as well, so big damage upgrade for him.
Oh yeah, the Sanj and Kaya is a nice item here. The status resistance in tandem with the spell amp.
Yeah, the HP regen that comes out as well. All very nice stuff. The imprisonment set up into the Wukong's command. Missed the impale though. Swap back also kills the Wukong command and ultimately kills the Monkey King. He doesn't like that one bit. Now he's going to be Primal Roared on the OD. Okay, buyback on the Monkey King, but no buyback available on the OD. And that's been their way of dealing with Mickey so often part of the time as they try to go for the hit from Era and Pale. Oh, Jesus, he just got bursted so quickly. The Shards blocks out Zibe, who drops a Tombstone, but it's going to be all in vain as this team is very likely going to be wiped here. Mickey gets a little bit low. And Liquid once again going, okay, we don't necessarily have to force this. They'll lose Taiga on the way out, but they still have Koifa's Illusion up. So basically, it's still 4-man up from Liquid.
Yeah, such good itemization coming out from Insania. We talked about him enabling the Bristleback early with his overall play and skill usage, but now he's got the Force Staff once it gets broken so that he doesn't get bursted. And then he's got the Lotus Orb, like just such good items to enable his team to carry. And I just love the vision this guy has. I love the guy. He's a nice guy, and he's also a nice Dota player.
Nice. Things are looking quite nice for Liquid as well here as they are over 20,000 net worth ahead pretty early on into the game. They can go ahead and take Roshan at their leisure. And, well, our Bristleback also isn't close to being totally maxed out. He can still fit in a full heart.
Here's the positive, Cap, is that if Bristle dies Fountain and dies twice, if you take his net worth out of the picture, it's actually even.
Ah, okay. So all we need to do is find a way to relocate Mickey into the enemy fountain.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm down with that. Maybe we're going to be able to kill the Venge right away. Koifa, he's going to die. His illusion, put it on the imprisonment. Zibe, though, oh dear. Mickey's right on top of them. He gets the Abyssal Blade onto the OD, finishes off Zibe as well. Look over, and Supreme's dead just like that because of Boxy and all of his Necronomicons. The synergy of this Liquid lineup, man, it just looks so cool.
I think when you look at the Radiant lineup, you see a lot of individual pieces that counter the individual pieces of the Liquid lineup, but I think the overall picture is just so much more well-rounded on the side of Liquid, and you're seeing it play out in these 5v5s.